Alex, thank you very much indeed. We'll leave it there. We'll get a rundown of what else is happening news-wise, and then after that I'm going to be speaking to a father whose son was taken to Jamaica 4 years ago at the age of 3. He hasn't seen him since, and this is a warning about abductions, family abductions, with the holiday season upon us. Here's Charlotte.
Thanks, Eamon. In other news, David Cameron will meet India's president today as he continues to push for stronger links with Britain. But the Prime Minister's stinging comments about Pakistan...
a whole host of other issues.
OK, President Obama on The View. Now, there's been an increase in the number of child abductions to countries with no legal agreement to return them. Abduction. This is Damien Gale. Damien's son, Nicholas, was taken away from him. He was taken to Jamaica 4 years ago now, Damien?
Yes,
sir. By his mum?
By his mum, yes.
And Nicholas was how old then?
He was 3 years old. It was just after his 3rd birthday.
So what was going on then? Had you and mum split up? Did you see this coming, or was this a bolt from the blue?
It was a huge shock. We had separated some time before. There was regular contact with me and my son. And I was told that she was going to take him on a holiday to visit family that she had over there. And this was over the Christmas period. So I agreed to it. I was absolutely fine with it. And basically she took him with her, went on holiday, and the next thing I found out was that she had returned to the UK and she had left him out there.
Right. Is she back in the UK?
Yes, she's back in the
UK. So what purpose does that serve? I mean, if neither of you are with your child?
It was... As I said, it was a little bit shocking, well, more than a little bit shocking. I don't fully understand why it was done in the first place, but I believe he was staying with her grandmother at the time.
Do you have any access to Nicholas, or is this simply just a financial and a geographical thing where you can't get there?
Well, what has happened, he has actually been returned to the UK now. He was out there for 1.5 years. Basically what happened is I spoke to various organisations during that time, one of them being the Foreign Commonwealth Office. He put me in touch with a charity called Reunite International, and they specialise in international parental child abduction. And so they were able to give me loads of helpful advice, and I started legal proceedings to attempt to get him returned to the UK.
And what sort of relationship do you have with Nicholas now? Do you have access with Nicholas?
Yes, I do have regular contact with Nicholas, yes.
How scary was that situation though, while he was away for 18 months?
It was the most scariest thing I think I've ever been through in my life. I truly did fear that I wouldn't be able to get him back. I spoke to so many organisations and everybody told me there wasn't anything I could do. Part of the reason being that that country was outside of the Hague Convention.
Sure. And it's such a fantastic age in a child's life, between 3 and 5. And there you were missing out on this. Were you allowed phone calls? Could you have gone and visited him if you'd have wanted to?
I had a telephone number, so I kept regular contact by phone. One of the main problems was where he lived was out somewhere in the countryside, so it wasn't a fixed address as such. The only address I had was of a post box, basically, that was connected to the post office. I didn't actually have an address as such as to where he was. So it would have been impossible for me to go out and visit.
The thing about this, Damien, is, you know, you're born in England, your wife's born in England, you've got West Indian roots, and she had family there. Sometimes it's even much more complicated than that. But the warning basically is, at this time of the year, if one parent or the other wants to abduct a child, the guise of a holiday, the pretense of a foreign holiday, can make that happen. Yeah. And it happened right under your nose. You didn't see it coming.
Didn't see it coming at all. I mean, one of the major issues was that I believe there was a change in the law in December 2006, if my memory serves me correctly, where a father would automatically have parental responsibility if they were on the birth certificate of the child. Now, unfortunately, my son was born about 16 days before they changed the law. So as much as I was in his life and I'm on the birth certificate and all the rest of it, because myself and his mother weren't married at the time, I didn't automatically have parental responsibility. So once she had taken him, she was within her right to do so, and there wasn't anything that I could do to stop it.
It's all very complicated, and it's something that is on the increase as we become a global village. Damien, thanks for telling us your story. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Well, new research...
pollen count.
And at this point in the programme, we take a look through the showbiz stories in the newspapers as selected by Mr. Tony Cowell. Very good to see you, Tony.
And you.
And it's a nice picture of, well, if not exactly of health, a smiling picture of Cheryl Cole on the front page of many of the tabloids this morning.
Yeah, I mean, it's the picture that all the tabloids, I think, have been waiting for. It's Cheryl looking better. I mean, she still looks thin, but that's to be expected. But what I like about this is that she's not done... It's not Cheryl going to some red carpet affair or going out for dinner with Derek the dancer. You know, she's obviously just gone down for a coffee locally, and that's it. And probably because the paparazzi are parked outside her house, and she said, "Look, I'll give you a picture if you leave us alone." I think that's how it's done.
Yes.
So,
I wonder, will the
good.
malaria leave her alone? The danger with malaria, of course, is it's reoccurring, or it can
Yes,
be.
yes, it can do. We don't know this yet, Eamon. You know, she's just literally getting back to work. And I know, just like my brother, she's a workaholic. That's all she wants to do is get back to work or go and see Simon on the Love Boat or something.
What is happening at the moment? I mean, X Factor, I think, is recording at the moment, isn't it? Or they're filming?
All the audition shows are done. They're in the can now, so where we are, and also boot camp. So the next thing that she's got to do is the judges' houses.
Yes.
And she's going to do that in London, from what I understand. While
Not too
the
much
rest of them
travelling
swan
involved
off,
in that.
to glamorous places like Dublin.
Well, I was with Katie Price, not yesterday, the day before.
Were you?
Yeah, she was looking very well. And I was watching her on ITV2 last night on her honeymoon on a desert island in Thailand or whatever. And another day, another story. What have we got today?
Well, yeah, this is a story. It kind of worries me a bit because what she's actually saying is that this is her biggest fear, is being attacked by a crazed fan. But she's doing this story in the middle of a book signing tour, which I don't think is a good idea because, you know, there are crazy people out there, as we know. And she alludes to what happened, of course, to Leona Lewis not long ago. And another one of Simon's exes, Terry Seymour, a few years ago, was attacked in LA, and I was there at the time. And it is very scary, these things. But I don't think that you should talk about that, is my point.
You think it could provoke somebody?
Because,
if there is
yes,
somebody...
you're provoking that. I mean, it's just... And no, you can have all the security in the world. Like terrorism, if they want you, they'll go out there.
Yes.
So I think she's ill-advised to do what could be just a PR story there.
I had a woman who attached herself to the bonnet of my car once. She
wasn't
spread-eagled.
It wasn't
Charlotte.
me,
No,
I'd like to
she
make that clear.
spread-eagled on the bonnet of my car and stayed there all day.
What did she want?
What?
The money back.
She wanted me.
Oh, right, OK.
She obviously wasn't right in the head, was she? Let's face it.
Four people to lift her off eventually. I thought the cold would eventually get her off, and but anyway, gone are the days. Carla Bruni.
Oh, yeah, no, I like this story because this is, of course, the French president's wife, former model, Carla Bruni, and she's been doing a film, her first film, with Woody Allen. But apparently it took 35 takes, rather, to do a scene. And there's no dialogue in this scene, by the way. So, I think I was just thinking, if I was the French president, I'd be kind of like a bit concerned about these kind of stories that come out. How does that work with her and the president? I just don't know.
Well, I think she's the best advert he will ever have, and she is actually a very, very good singer.
Oh, no, she's a good singer, and I've heard some of her stuff, yeah, but why do they want to do everything? Now she wants to go into acting, and, you know, the time this film's finished, she'll be 62.
I'm surprised with the silent part there, because she normally plays the silent part next to him very well, just standing and moving. So I'm quite surprised it took 30-odd takes.
Woody Allen factor, I don't know.
Come the summer, no one seems to be watching television, according to the Daily Express.
Well, that's right. I mean, it's a story here about the ITV sort of suffering the worst ratings they've ever had in 55 years. And obviously, everybody knows that the big shows go on in the autumn. And now, like July and August, the kids go on holiday, we don't watch so much television. But I'm thinking, not that I'm here to give other networks advice, but why don't they put, you know, repeats of their best shows on now? Not just my brother's shows, but, you know, Ant and Dec or whatever. The BBC does very well with repeats. I just think they're missing a trick. They could do that.
They could do highlights, couldn't they? Gearing people up for the next series,
And certainly with shows like The X Factor, they could do sort of highlights of what was the best parts of last year and stuff as a prelude to a new series.
Too many channels, that's the problem.
Just a bit of advice there.
Yes, and everybody else is on holiday.
Yeah.
Right, OK. Email-wise, Charlotte, what have you got this morning?
I'll take you straight to the windbreak ones, actually. Do you remember this story where the couple were told off for putting up their windbreak when they were having a picnic? Jaden King says, can understand why local authorities make these laws, but they should be more flexible. A lot of people were having a laugh about the fact that they'd been ticked off for putting up this windbreak. But Anthony in Spain, he says it's time people realise these laws are necessary. He says to allow windbreaks is the thin end of the wedge, the old adage of giving an inch and taking a mile. So you never know where it might lead for. Enforcement of discipline is what
I never knew the offence they would cause.
I know.
Well, there we are. Talking about the wind, going like the wind. Tell us more,
Yeah, very much so. Britain's 100-metre runner Mark Lewis Francis described himself as the happiest man in the world after winning a silver medal.
And just to round things up, here comes the weather with Lucy.
Thanks, Eamon. Well, a little bit of everything over the next few days. No complete theme. It really depends on where you are, where you're based. But mostly dry for many of us and staying on the warm side.
Final word to James Muir. I can't help but notice that with three gorgeous broadcasters, don't know who they could be, on the couch, it's hard not to think Eamon is Charlie and Charlie's Angels. They followed instructions at least. He's the live desk.